for having No Time to Die. This movie's sure taking sweet ass time.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently he had all the time in the world to die, if you catch my meaning.
Uh-huh. I don't. That's okay. All right. So
That's a good opener.
there you go.
Okay.
I like it. It's fun. All right.
So okay, No Time to Die. Last Daniel Craig James Bond. Sad to see him go. I'm appreciative of his work in the series.
Yeah. I think it's one of those cases like we do kind of have to take a retrospective in the Daniel Craig James Bond era before I get into this. Because it was very culturally defining at the time it came out.
Right. Well, and I will make no bones about it. It had to grow on me because when I first saw Casino Royale, I didn't like it.
See, I was on board with Casino Royale, but I was also I was a teenager when it came out, and I was all on board with the Christopher Nolan Darker Edge stuff that was coming out around that time.
Well, that's not the part that bothers me. The part that bothers me is that he halfway through the film he did a 180 and completely became somebody else. And I was like, James Bond kills people for a living. He has to understand that if I had to point out a problem with the series, that would be it. It goes from one extreme to the next. This James Bond never finds any balance.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
And it started with Casino Royale and then they ended it the same way too. And I'm like,
yeah. So I think it's very fascinating about the Daniel Craig James Bond era is the fact that it was very clearly a post 9/11 recreation of the character.
Yeah.
That was very popular around that time because they did the same thing with Batman, even Alien Invasion movies starting to change their tone drastically after 9/11.
Yeah.
And this franchise very much responded to that. And it's kind of weird how the series has kind of maintained that tone while still introducing some goofier stuff. But now it's gotten to the point now where even that's kind of outdated. So ironically, it's kind of going through this full cycle of where the campy, goofy spy stuff in Die Another Day was kind of out on the way out by the time the last Pierce Brosnan movie came out. And then and then
they tried it again.
And then this movie does the exact same.
And then they tried it again. You're right.
The exact same era. Whereas now they've stretched out the whole post 9/11 super serious spy stuff a little too far. And now we're at the point where it's this movie already feels outdated, which is so ironic to me.
Well, not only does it do that, but it haphazardly just starts treating life as if it carelessly. Whereas before it did not do that. When Vesper Lynd died, that was an event.
Yeah.
That's like we're already 3/4 of the way through the movie when it happens, but that is the inciting event for James Bond. He doesn't become James Bond until that shit happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we have this theme throughout and every time a Bond girl dies, M is always like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is a human being. you know what I mean? And then we get to the end and it's just fuck it, kill, die.
And the funny part is arguably the best movie of the Craig era, Skyfall, was all about human relations, like Judi Dench and Javier Bardem's characters.
Right, the impact of what they actually do.
Yeah, the entire movie was just about them trying desperately to save Judi Dench and ultimately failing.
Right. But not only that, but it's Judi Dench paying for all of these choices that she has made that has directly affected singularly people's lives, including the people that work for her, right?
Yeah.
And that's treated as precious. That's treated as Javier Bardem is supposed to be a sympathetic villain because of what happened to him. Mm-hmm. Right? It never have we treated life like it's careless in a Daniel Craig James Bond film.
Yeah. No, I could definitely, because even Quantum of Solace had a heavy theme.
Well, yeah, the Bond girl that we meet for 5 seconds, she gets fucking she gets turned into a tar pit basically.
Oh yeah,
they make her swallow freaking oil, and she's dead on the bed with oil everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And M turns to him and is like, Jesus Christ, dude, she filed papers. You know what I mean? She ain't even a part of this game that you playing. You know?
Yeah.
That's
and Quantum of Solace, which obviously I think everyone kind of ranks as the worst of the Craig Bond films, even though I don't think it's that bad.
I don't think it's that bad either. I dug it.
And Spectre was trying to weave back the sillier elements in there with kind of mixed results. I only watched it in theaters. I haven't watched it since. So I don't know how well it's held up or if it does. But I know it did have like the secret basic.
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it not too long ago. You know, the only elements I could see about that you would be talking about is the reintroduction of Bond girls again in the
Bond girls and Blofeld
and the kind of the Bond girl floozies, as I like to call them. That you know, where they're literally a disposable object. That resurfaced in Spectre.
Yeah, for sure. In Spectre, so you had like that. You had like the secret bases with the wacky villain gadgets and the elaborate death traps, and of course Blofeld in that movie. And then you kind of have, and it wasn't great. I remember being fine. Like I enjoyed it when I first watched it. I did think it had like the least interesting love interest of any of these movies.
Yeah.
Which also makes it weird when we segue back into this movie where she's still a pretty big part of the movie.
Well, yeah, and
she's better in this. Don't get me wrong.
No, I feel you. But again, she's this is part of the issue. You know what I'm saying? Like James Bond in these films just goes from one extreme to another. It's I'm a super secret agent. I kill people for a living. No, wait a minute. I'm in love. Fuck all of that. No, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I forgot I was a spy. So people might be trying to get to me even when I'm happy. So I have to be a spy again and fuck all women. And then, you know what I mean? And then, yeah. You know, and then the next one, it's like, I'm back to killing people. I'm ruthless. And then it's like, oh, I found something out about the person that I fell in love with, but got rid of because she was useless. So now I'm back to having a heart, you know? And it's like,
I don't think that's inherently new for the franchise, but I think it does strike differently in the Daniel Craig era because it's trying to take itself a lot.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it's James Bond and Daniel Craig era was supposed to be getting away from that.
Yeah, and they just kind of fell right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not exclusive to this James Bond. It was supposed to be completely expunged.
Yeah, and then it just
you know. Trappings. So that's this review is going to be short.
I might have more to say about this than you do, but go ahead.
Well, yeah. Like at what point can we get to spoilers? Can we get to spoilers now?
I think we could just talk a bit more generally first about the actual movie before we get too much.
Okay. Well,
because we mostly talk about the franchise as a whole rather than this one.
Well, yeah. A retrospective is Daniel Craig's James Bond was a great leap forward in storytelling for the franchise, for the mythos of James Bond. However, as it goes on, again, it becomes disjointed, like you said earlier, because we can't figure out where he stands and what he stands for. Yeah. He's a second away from being the super spy, and then he goes off the grid and disappears for years, and nobody knows where he is.
Which is happening in 3 of these films now.
Yeah, they've done it 3 times.
Yep. In Skyfall, I think Casino Royale, and now this movie.
Yeah, but the way they portray him as he's a queen and country dude. So there's just no way.
So like,
there's no way.
The other part of it too is like this movie really asks you to get emotionally invested in these versions of characters. But as you just kind of point out, it's like, yeah, but they're not really consistent. So they're like all these like deeper, like personal stuff is happening, and you just don't feel that investment.
Because when I'm an audience member, I'm with Bond. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with him. He's got me from the beginning to the end. So whatever happens to him is what I'm invested in. He starts to act like he doesn't care. So I don't.
Yeah, like this is a case where I don't know if it was the writing or just Daniel Craig done hiding how much he just does not want to be this character anymore.
I mean, I guess so.
Because I know when after Spectre came out, he went on record and saying like, I would rather like gouge out my own eyeball than play.
Yeah, he's like, I'd rather shoot myself or some shit.
Something ridiculous which I get it. The dude's like in his 50s. And he's still doing all this shit.
But also, I just wish I could help him understand how important he was to the brand. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because losing Pierce was a huge blow. Like we thought, like it was never going to be the same after that. You know?
Yeah, I do kind of remember that. I remember everyone got mad about Blonde Bond.
And he came presenting something completely new. You know what I mean? And I dug it. I could see where the trajectory of the story was going. But I don't understand the self-sabotage and I don't understand the cultural vandalism that's taking place here.
Yeah, like this one feels very much like we need to wrap this shit up.
Yeah, and my question is why?
Yeah,
why do we need to wrap it up? If Daniel Craig has to go, he can leave, but why does Bond have to?
Yeah,
why do we got to wrap him up?
Box too is because like this is like, as far as I know, the first like main era of Bond films that does have a single continuity, as opposed to most other ones that like you can take them all as like movies upon themselves and just like isolate.
Well, yeah, the string of films, and that's what I mean. It's the myth of James Bond. James Bond comes out as a certain person. He has his stint, and then he goes back into the ether and comes back as somebody else. Mm-hmm. They've completely destroyed that with this.
Yeah.
Like that mythos is over.
Yeah, I can definitely see that argument. I know that what they're trying to do is like, this is the end of this particular era. It's done. Fine. Right. We're not making any more of these.
But it doesn't. But again, we need the mythos to continue. If he wants to go off, that's cool. Find some way to wrap up his thing. But the James Bond is we've already, because of this franchise, because of this set of movies, we've already established that James Bond is not a designation. He's an actual guy.
Yeah.
So he's a myth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, before Skyfall and Spectre, they had a chance to say, oh, James Bond is a designation. It's not really his name. It's not really who he is. They had a chance.
Then we had Skyfall, like Scottish characters.
Right. But then this is the Bond home. Yeah, but this is the Bond mansion and shit. you know, so now we can't do that anymore.
Like Scottish Alfred just comes in, like, we're gonna Home Alone this shit.
Yeah. And so yeah, we're killing the mythos here along with the iteration, which is baby with the bathwater. It ain't cool, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right. I think at this point now, let's talk spoilers.
Okay, let me put the pizza in the oven. Give me.
All right, we're gonna pause right there. Go commercial break. Be right back. All right.
So spoiler mode.
Spoiler mode. Let's do it.
Okay, spoiler mode. I'm looking directly at the camera. James Bond is dead.
Yeah.
James Bond is dead.
Mm-hmm. James
Bond is dead. James Bond is dead. James Bond is dead. That's my whole argument. This some old bullshit. All right. This some old bullshit. Okay. I don't, there are so many other ways we could have ended Daniel Craig's run as James Bond. They provided us so many other avenues to go down with, even in the story. Yeah. I didn't even dislike the story. But okay, look, James Bond, he's clearly too old to do it. He's retiring. They've given his number to somebody else. They give it to him back temporarily for the mission. The mission is complete. He moves over. She takes the thing. They did that pretty well. That boom, movie's over. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the poison guy gets his way. He does the thing with the blood. He finds out he's poisoned. James Bond does the thing, blows up the thing, escapes. And because of his past deeds, he has to watch his family grow up from afar and he can't interact with them. Done deal. Done movie. That is the price you pay for the stuff that you've done. M had to pay for it. Other M had to pay for it. You got to pay for it. Done deal. Yep. But again, it's a needless death of an icon. And it's like, and it's done in like a Captain America kind of way, which I hated too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, oh no, I gotta crash this shit. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. The Tesseract already left. You don't even know where it is. This plane is not lethal to anyone. You're over ice. Fucking crash the plane and jump out. You know what I'm saying? Take the radio, crash the plane,
they even made
jump out, of that and go dancing with your girl. Okay, like James Bond is dead for no reason.
I have more issues with the spoiler territory, this and that, but I do fully agree with you.
But so many ways we could have gone. Many ways.
It did feel lazy and hackneyed and just a way to end this franchise.
Yeah. Also, you killed Felix. Felix,
I like Felix. I was bummed when he died.
That character had a ton of personal growth, and you're working people of color back into the franchise, and it's going well. It's going swimmingly. You kill him needlessly. What, you think the new 007 ain't gonna need friends?
Yeah, like I would have. Like,
you know,
that didn't make any sense to me either. That was a case where like this. That's the part of the movie where I felt like he was desperately trying to wrap shit up. like
Yeah.
to like
I'm like,
needlessly like violent degree.
well, yeah, and let's make James Bond an isolated incident. Why did everybody in his fucking path have to die too?
Yeah, right.
You know,
what Felix do?
you know, and again we cross this bridge where it's like, okay, so we have the most progressive James Bond we've ever had. You send the wrong message by killing him, number one, and all of the people who are culpable in his death have no fucking consequence.
Yep.
When we've based this entire run of movies off of consequence.
Yep.
Bond's most potent villains are the ones that come back from his past to make him atone for something.
Which is which is why like the Blofeld scene was good until they killed him off.
Yeah, but again, haphazardly. Oh, like death doesn't mean anything anymore.
That's again like that's what made the first like hour and a half of this feel so weird because so much of it felt like, okay, we got these loose ends, we got to tie them up really fast. Doesn't really matter how we do it. Now it's like they go to a party. It's like, oh, all of Spectre is at this party.
Yeah, what the fuck? You think these people aren't smart? You okay, they've already survived James Bond one time. He showed up at their party once before. You think if they see him in the room that they're not going to notice him and get the fuck out?
Yep, and they got that, and you have like the obligatory Bond girl who shows up and then just kind of says, "Okay, that was great, bye," and just like disappears.
Yeah, yeah. What was that? Like, and by the way, we could have used her fucking help on the island.
Yeah, that would have been great. I liked her. I was cool with her.
Yeah, she was fucking cool. But that's what I'm saying. Like it seems like that's why I say it's cultural vandalism. You're fucking James Bond is not just some character that you can play around with. This is a mythos. If you're creating there, let me go backwards. Let me see if I can accurately explain mythos. Okay.
Yeah.
So mythos and legend, right? Legends have a beginning, middle, and end. A mythos is more of an idea that lends itself to a story than it is a person. You know, like we know the end of Lord of the Rings because all the people that were affected by the ring get on a boat and they just go off into eternity. Mm-hmm. They don't die. They don't age anymore. We don't know what happens to them, but we know that that's the end because they can no longer take place in the world. So that's when they become legend. It's a story that, because I don't know, fuck it, they could still be out there.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But there's a definite beginning, middle, and end, and these characters go off, and this is the story of how they got to be that way, right?
Yeah.
James Bond, as I said before, he comes out of the mist as one person to tell us stories. He goes back into the ether and comes back as someone else. The hair changes, the eyes change, the motives change, his tactics change. But the mythos of James Bond, the idea of James Bond is what stays.
Yeah.
You have killed Daniel Craig's James Bond, but you have killed the idea of James Bond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Along with it.
Yeah.
The only way we can continue the mythos is if we take what we've learned from Daniel Craig's James Bond, he goes back into the ether and comes back as someone else. That's how we culturally and cinematically understand him.
And the way they go about doing it feels like weirdly haphazard and feels like a producer note to a certain degree. To the point like Rami Malek is in this barely, which is already kind of weird for this particular era because the villain's been a big part of it. It's kind of bad when even the Quantum of Solace villain with his squeaky ass voice is more memorable than Rami Malek's character in this one.
Well, now that you mention it, he feels kind of like a copy of that dude.
Yeah, kind of, right? A little bit. Just a little bit. I remember him more because at least I felt like, I don't know, he was in the movie more for starters.
Yeah, and then they still didn't explain the significance of the mask. Not sure why that was there.
Maybe in an earlier draft it made more sense, but
maybe. But I mean, it doesn't seem like it's tied to his family or anything. Like it's just some mask.
I never did explain that. Now I think about it.
But, yeah, and by the way, young, what's her name? Young Madeline. She lit that dude up like a Christmas tree. How did he survive that shit?
Yeah, right.
Like she hit him at the best she can. That I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised. She straight put caps in his ass. I was like, whoa.
It was like, all right, cool.
Yeah, and I'm like, holy shit. And he lived through that?
And then they just like I don't know how you feel about the fact like, oh my god, is this ripping off the plot from Metal Gear Solid? They just put the fox dye virus in here. Like that's the whole plot of the movie. Like,
look, man, it was cheap, and I feel like
so contrived.
Time will tell, but I really feel like something has been taken from James Bond. We're not going to get back.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna do some like heavy reinventing. They kind of like, I don't know, boost it back up again. But they're gonna have to create some kind of momentum that actually matters.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when Daniel Craig came in as James Bond, nobody was. I mean, everybody was picking apart his appearance and stuff, but nobody was upset that a new James Bond happened. You know what I'm saying?
And no one was upset by the ending. It's kind of like Superman died in BVS, where it's like nobody cared.
Yeah, the next version of James Bond is going to have to endure some criticism because we're going to be like, well, when we last left James Bond, we didn't leave him because he's gone.
Yeah.
So who the fuck are you?
To a dead man's shoes.
Yeah. How do you do that? And another reason why they fucked that up is because Daniel Craig's James Bond was like James Bond Begins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we finally got the origin of his story, whereas we didn't get that before.
Yeah.
So now it feels like he's a legend and not a myth.
So it's like it has to do even more heavy lifting to separate stuff in the previous incarnation.
Because now James Bond has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Not supposed to have that.
No. I had a thought and I lost it. I just know that any legacy movie about legacy characters should not remind me of Superman Returns in more ways than one. One, in how bored I was. Two, in point a little kid who can't act and should not be there for a good chunk of the film. And then, of course, having the twist that it's actually the main kid.
Well, I don't know if the little girl can act because they didn't give her a chance to.
True. I know, like, it's not the kid's fault. I'm not blaming the kid. I'm mostly blaming, like, why was she in this much of the movie? You're not gonna.
But yeah, and let me point something else out. Okay, part of this script was credited by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Okay. This does not give me confidence in her for Indiana Jones.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. This does not give me confidence for Indiana Jones. I am hearing stuff.
That bad, huh?
That what happened to our man James Bond might be happening to good old Indiana Jones. You feel him?
At least with that one, there's only ever been one actor to play him.
True.
Not including the prologue scenes in 3.
True. But Indiana Jones, again, we haven't turned him into a legend yet. We haven't turned him into a legend yet. Because remember, Crystal Skull, he was about to become a legend, but what happened?
It tanked.
Well, no, I just mean the ending of the story. The ending of the story is the hat blows, and Mutt's like, "Is it my turn?" And he's like, "Nope."
And, like,
you know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, and then the audience went, "Nope."
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, he's not a legend yet.
Oh.
So you're in dangerous territory here.
Ugh.
Okay.
Well, I haven't really given the new Indiana Jones much thought until you said that, but now that you say that.
But okay, so again, for the people who love inside information, okay? I know some people who have worked on those sets who are calling the movie Phoebe Jones.
Oh no.
Because they're that mad.
Well, actually, experience.
So they're calling it Phoebe Jones because to them it ain't Indiana Jones.
Damn.
Just saying.
Woof.
Just saying.
Oh man. Now I'm really scared.
That's all I'm gonna say. And I trust my intel because when I was on the set with people who had worked on The Mandalorian, they were telling me how great it was. I was skeptical. I was like, this Star Wars nonsense that Disney is putting out, like, I can't have it. And they were like, no, it's good. It's good. You know, we were there. It's good. Watch it when it comes out. And they're proud to walk around with the jackets and shit. You know what I mean? And they're and they got their Mandalorian coffee mugs and shit. And I'm like, you sure? And they're like, yes. So
Honestly, I'm still a little ho-hum about the Mandalorian, but that's just
Okay, well, I loved it, so fuck. They
I,
were
I
right.
know I know I'm in the minority opinion on that.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm hearing it's Phoebe Jones. Just saying.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, I don't have anything to follow that up with.
So I'm not enthused. The writing is what I would expect from a James Bond piece, except it's writing that I would accept from every iteration of James Bond, not the current one.
Yeah, that's an important part too. Is that the writing, especially for James Bond himself, just does not feel like the character that's been established over the past 4
Yeah, and they end with the music from Her Majesty's Secret Service, and I'm like, why'd you do that?
Fan service is that point.
Because that's a different James Bond altogether, and that's clearly not the dude we're dealing with here.
Well, it's kind of like I feel like this movie is definitely trying to bank on nostalgia too in a lot of ways. So maybe that's part why that comes from. It's like, oh, that's a bit from the other movies. This like to me, that's like the worst of like comic book movies or anything like that is when they lean into nostalgia versus actually making something good out of it.
Yeah, but I'm totally good with James Bond retiring, becoming an old man, and me never hearing from this version of James Bond again. That's what happened to all the other ones.
Which you could just easily have done after the last movie. Like, there's no reason for this version to exist at this point. Except to just tie up loose ends they felt needed to tie up for some reason.
But there were none. M's gone. There's a new M. Moneypenny's where she's supposed to be. James Bond where he's supposed to be. You could have stopped right there. And then he drove off, take a holiday with his girl. Maybe he makes her his wife. Maybe they have a kid. Maybe not. Maybe he's like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm still hurt about Vesper. And he continues to be a spy till he dies. However, we get to come up with that ending in our minds, not you.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the whole point. The whole point is, I don't know what happened to Sean Connery's James Bond. I'm pretty sure he just became an old man and died in a wheelchair somewhere. Okay. Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton on like Bond in like 2 movies.
Yeah, Roger Moore. Man, I don't care what happened to him. You know what I'm saying? Like Pierce, I feel like he was so high octane that I feel like he probably died on the job or some shit.
Probably.
And Daniel Craig, because of all his progressive growth as a human being, I figured he earned the right to grow old.
No, we have to have a tragic, sad ending. Just have a tragic, sad ending.
Yeah. And then and then my favorite part, they're driving his car at the end, let me tell you a story about James Bond. Bitch, you only been in 2 movies. You don't even know him.
I know. I'm kind of thinking like, let me tell you how your father used to get mad pussy.
Yeah, like you don't even know him.
And it's like such a folks. I blocked that part out of my memory, honestly, because I was like, that is such a folksy bullshit.
Yeah. How are you going to tell the story of James Bond? Like you barely met the dude.
Yeah, and like that part really annoyed me. That's like I walked out, I was like, done. Like I'm out of this fucking piece of shit.
And here's the real confusing part. In the credits, I stayed to the end. It said James Bond will return. How?
Zombie Bond. 007 Rise Another Day.
They had the nerve to say James Bond will return.
Which again, there's like, well, if Marvel does it, but we can do it.
Then why kill him?
Probably because I thought of it more in the press, but shockingly, no one ever really talked about it. Which is, I don't like that. Seems like an indictment on the quality of the film itself more than anything. Again, it's like you kill one of the most iconic characters in cinematic history.
That's what I mean. Like,
and nobody cares.
But it's for no good reason.
It's for no reason, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody is all that upset.
It would have been super way more impactful if he had to live with his decisions and didn't get to partake in the pleasantries of life.
And it would have made sense with like everything else they established about that character through 4 movies. So yeah, No Time to Die. Not a good movie. I don't really understand why people like it.
Yeah, and the song that plays throughout the whole movie is "We Have All the Time in the World," and I'm like, shut the fuck up. You named the movie "No Time to Die,"
and yet you're wasting 3 hours of mine.
So, well, also there's something else I wanted to address for all the people that were so upset because they thought James Bond was going to be woke. It wasn't that. the new 007 fit in perfectly, and she pretty much got clowned at every turn.
Yeah.
So it was clear that she had to earn that number designation.
I thought she was fine.
Because as soon as James Bond came back in the room, everybody was like, "Oh, he's the shit. You ain't nobody." You know what I mean? So yeah, and honestly, that I harp on this a lot in other movies in previous years, but that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
We need a cinematic handoff. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you are going to take the number, there are responsibilities and growth that come with that number. Mm-hmm. If there's a handoff, I don't care. If she's 007 from now on, I don't care.
Yeah, they handled it pretty well.
That's what I mean. They handled it great. I'm good with it. Moving on.
Yeah.
You know, and also she wasn't in the room when they toasted him, which I think was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Actually, like they got in the room and mourned him, and it was only people that knew him that got to mourn him. That's another touch.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed. But
I don't know. Like I think anytime anyone uses the term woke unironically, you kind of immediately put on like skepticals.
Right. Well, a lot of people were worried that they were going to try for Daniel Craig's last one. They were going to let him because he had so much disdain for doing it that they were just going to woke it up, you know?
Yeah.
And people were convinced that was going to happen. So I'm glad that they got proven wrong.
Yeah.
And they did it in a tasteful way. And the character that they thought was going to be a problem stood up on her own, and she's fine. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if they want to make like just 007 movies with just woman Bond now, I'd be okay with it.
Right. Yeah. Well, if they choose this particular Bond, I don't mean to get into politics on your channel, but you get enough of that.
I was going to say, like, Ron, I just finished an hour and a half draft.
But if they choose to go with this particular iteration of 007, things about the character and things about the espionage are going to have to change.
Yeah.
Because a black 007 immediately walks in the room and will immediately be profiled as suspect.
Yeah.
She cannot get away with the things that the regular James Bond can get away with.
Which honestly I think you'd be all interesting stories with.
Well, how are they? Yeah, that's what I mean. If we're going to set it in reality, and that's what we were doing, right? They're going to have to completely change the rules for her.
Which I think would be personally kind of fascinating to see how that would evolve.
I want to see how they do that because if she just walks in the room and everybody assumes, oh, you are who you say you are, that's not realistic at all.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, a black woman going to a gala event, it doesn't matter how she's dressed or how she looked, will get stopped at the door and check for her shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Period.
No, you're right.
Period. People out there, get mad at me if you want to, but that's reality. Okay, I'm black. I live it. My sister lives it. My mother lives it. My dad lives it. All my cousins live it. You can't tell me shit. Okay.
And those people usually get blocked in this channel anyway.
Black James Bond or black 007 gonna have to play by a completely different set of rules. Trust me when I say that.
But at the same time, like that does feel like it opens up so many other like story possibilities too.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that you're really gonna have some writers lean into that if you want to make that possible.
I agree.
Otherwise, it'll bomb, and nobody will ever consider it worth anything.
It'd be another Timothy Dalton. Much else to say about No Time to Die. You got anything else?
Okay. He wants me to know that he turned off the oven.
The oven is off.
The oven is off.
No time for pizza. Anyway.
No time for pizza. So that's what I have to say. My defense is a passionate defense against a mythos, cinematic language, and cultural vandalism. I feel like something was taken from James Bond when I watched it in the theater. I'm very saddened for it. However, I'm glad that Daniel Craig finished his run on his own terms and it wasn't taken from him.
That's true.
I'm glad that he got to produce some of the films and that he has a lasting impact on the franchise. He is my favorite James Bond. I resonate and relate to his story more than any of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad it happened.
I am happy that Daniel Craig is now kind of doing whatever the fuck he wants at this point. I feel like he's at that stage of his career.
He wants to play King Lear. He wants to go back and play. Well, he's a big theater dude. He was in theater for a long time.
Because I watched like Knives Out or Logan Lucky, Lucky Logan or Logan Lucky, the hell the movie's called, or movies where he's kind of allowed to ham it up a bit more. You can tell he's having a great time doing it. So I'm curious to do more of those roles and like other roles, like obviously expand his acting talents a bit more. But the dude's got a lot of talent. So I'm glad he's like reached the Harry Potter Twilight stage of his career, where he's done this major flagship franchise for many, many years, made more money than God doing them, and now you just go and do whatever weird ass project he wants to do from this point on.
Hey, and I agree. I'm happy for him, but if I ever meet him, I'm gonna be like, you know, you're the only Bond that should have lived.
Yeah. Honestly, okay. Yeah.
You're the only Bond that should have lived. Sean Connery's Bond deserved to get killed by a woman during intercourse.
Yep.
Roger Moore should have died in a plane crash fire. Timothy Dalton should have got evaporated by a moonraker laser. Okay.
He's getting more and more like specific.
You know, Pierce should have died from drinking some bad scotch. Right.
I was gonna say died from like surfing a tidal wave.
Yeah, or some crazy shit. or jumped out of a helicopter with a surfboard and it split in half and got eaten by a shark or some shit.
Died, you know, have sex in a pile of diamonds. That's just a terrible idea.
Yeah, until he cuts himself to death. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, Daniel Craig's Bond is the only one we should have left, and he's the only one that's gone.
Yeah, I'm more talking to him, the more I realize I was like kind of lukewarm about it going into this. Now I'm like, fuck this movie. I hate this movie.
Hey, they got me hot. Well, and it's because I felt like it was coming to a okay conclusion. And then it's just like,
and then they have to throw in the last minute MacGuffin. Nope, sad ending. Route.
Yeah.
Where something random out shows out of nowhere and says, "Oh, you're poisoned now." Haha. He can't do anything except die for some reason. Yay. Dumb.
Stupid. Right. And I although I do love the way he kills him though.
Just like those cold motherfuckers.
He just listened to his monologue and he just stares at him.
Which, to be fair, valid response.
Yeah, I mean, he let him talk too.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're watching like a video game cutscene and they give you like that pull trigger anytime.
Like, he just stared at him.
Like, oh, you're done. Okay.
Oh, I love that. That should have been the end of that. They should have faded out right there.
Honestly, yeah, I would have been happier with that.
But I should have known when they did the Bond thing in the beginning, and then he freaking vanished.
Yeah,
I should have known they were going to kill him then. I should have known. Because the thing, you know, where they move and then he shoots the camera.
Yeah.
But instead of the blood coming over the barrel, it's just his image in black and white, and it vanishes. And I was like,
to do that.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, "Oh, you motherfuckers!" You know, like if y'all do what I think you're gonna do, you know,
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's all we got for this one. So,
I'm sad.
I'm sad too. I don't know. I guess I'll try to cure my sadness with Halloween, because the sequel for that's out this week.
Oh, that's right. Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills.
By the way, it's on Peacock. Like, you could stream it on the NBC streaming app. If you have Peacock, you can watch it. I thought that was cool. I was like, wow, they put a movie out.
That's true. That's a good point. I know that. I got to watch The Duel, which is the Matt Damon one where he's trying to do like
the last duel.
The last duel where he does like a bad British accent. I know Muha was just live texting me while he was watching, like, this is really dumb. So that's gonna be an adventure.
Muha did a Cats marathon, okay? He don't get the fuck.
To be fair, it's not because he thought it was good.
I know, but what he doesn't understand is that they don't care who you are as a person or how much you laugh at it. They are collecting sales data.
Yeah.
Okay. If you go ironically to go see it enough times, they will put out a sequel.
I'd kind of watch it. Just to see.
We have a Cats 2 and James Bond is dead. Enough said.
Night, everybody.